Good to have you on board. Good to be back in the swing of it. It seems like in Australia we have this, I guess, a false start or a slow start to the year. So January is the first month of the year, but we get to February and things really start to take off or go back into action. A lot of people go missing in January, not missing completely, but in holiday mode, or the businesses shut down. So it can be a bit hard for business owners to think, well, hang on, I've missed my opportunity to plan. So we're going to look at why it's not too late for your business to have a plan or to create a plan for your business, and why why there are benefits in doing the plan. So a couple of things we're going to look at here is pretty much this is just going to be a quick overview. We'd love to go into more detail on this topic with you, and it is something that I'm quite passionate about. So it is going to be a bit of a fast run through of business planning. There are a whole different, we could certainly go into a lot more depth on each of the points that we're going to talk about, but the point of this today is to make sure that you actually get started, and you'll see why we're going to do a very simple but actionable business plan process when we talk through today, because the key thing for us is that you do have a plan and you do act on it and implement your plan. So a little bit about me. Growing small business, medium businesses is my passion. I've been working with business owners, small, medium business owners for over 25 years. I host a podcast called The Business Behind Your Business, which is designed for small, medium business owners, particularly aimed at supplying all that extra content or all that extra advice, the go-to resources for a business owner who's often feeling isolated or doing it all on their own. So we like to provide those resources to you. So I'm also the founder of Pretium Solutions, which is an accounting and business advice firm. And I've gone down the track of becoming a certified business advisor because there's a lot that is not gained, a lot of risk in using somebody that hasn't gone through that process or hasn't gone through the education process of how to actually advise on business strategy, how to advise on business planning, and you need to know who you're dealing with. So that's a bit about me. So is it too late to make a plan for your business? So we're in February. So a lot of people will look at January at the beginning of a calendar year, or maybe July at the beginning of a financial year, as the best time to make a plan for their business. They view those arbitrary cut-off periods, so the end of a calendar year or the end of a financial year, as the best time to make a plan, a new plan for your business. Now, when we get to a situation, so in Australia, we've got the situation where a lot of businesses are just starting to get back into the swing of it after the January holidays, January school holidays, the Christmas holidays, and we're now in February, and life has started to take off very quickly again. Schools are back, there's a lot going on, a lot of activity, a lot of distractions, but I feel possibly like we've missed the first month or maybe month and a half of our business journey for this current year. So the question then is, well, is there a point in actually creating a plan? Is there a point in creating a plan for our business right now? And I'm going to say that it's actually never too late. And the reason I say it's never too late is that if you don't actually make a plan, you're not going to change what you're doing. You're not going to get different results. You might get some improvement, some fluctuation, but you're really a recipient of what's going on around you. Unless you make a plan which has some decisive actions that you're going to take to improve your business, to grow your business, then you're not going to change. So the best time is when you start your business, or at the start of each year, but the second best time is right now. So it is never too late to start a business plan or to create one for your business. And there's a number of reasons why every business should have a plan. So a lot of people have this, historical view of business plans, that they are long, detailed documents, often 40, 60 pages, going into a very detailed explanation of the markets, the history of the business, the strategic plan, the operations, the marketing, who the employees are. A lot of time is spent capturing the data and describing the state of play and what they need to be doing and who's going to do it. The problem with that is there are a number of reasons that those plans are often not successful. A number of reasons those plans are not successful, and that includes the fact that it takes a long time to prepare, and a lot of small business owners, one of the biggest constraints on them is time. So a lot of business owners think, I don't have the time to do a business plan. And to do that 60-page business plan, that might be correct. You probably do not have the time when you are the salesperson, the finance person, the technician, the HR person. You are all of those roles and many more in your business. So spending the time in your business to do that 60-page business plan may not be a good use of your time, and it may mean that you actually are unable to run your business while you're doing that. So that's the reason why a lot of businesses put it off. So another reason why they put it off is they often think that it's the scope of bigger businesses. And that's not the case. Every business owner is in a position where they can grow their business and be strategic about how they're going to grow their business. So there are a few other things that we need to look at here. So I mentioned that without a plan, you're just going to be responsive to what's going on around you. You may win a new customer purely by accident. You may not actually have a plan of how you're going to grow. You may start attracting the wrong type of customer. You may actually not have an understanding of your finances, or you may not understand whether you've got the capacity to put on a new employee. So a lot of people have their ideas in their business, but they don't actually organise what they're going to do with it or how they're going to go about doing it. And then, when they do go and do it, they realise halfway through that maybe they don't have the capacity for it, or maybe they don't have the need for that action or that resource or that employee at this stage. So one of the key benefits of your business plan is putting it together and evaluating where you're at, what you're going to be trying to achieve, and what's that process, getting some clarity about what the process is going to be to take your business from where it is now to where you want to be, and how you're going to implement it. So some clarity is really essential. There's so much going on in your business, there's so much going on in your life. We need to pinpoint and get some clarity about what's the really most important things that you are going to work on in your business right now. So by focusing on your business plan, by focusing on the key actions, you can concentrate your actions. We've got a lot of busyness in our lives. We've got a lot of busyness from running the business. We've got a lot of busyness from our family lives. As a business owner, you need to be focused on what the important things are right now. And this process of going through the business plan or creating a business plan will actually help you get some focus on those ideal actions, where you need to spend your priority time right now. What are the actions you need to take? A business plan, if we go back to the 1980s, the 1990s, the early 2000s, the view of business plans were that they were those 60-page detailed documents with lots of instruction, lots of input, lots of time developed to planning them. And where I saw most business plans in place was they were often propping up the laptop or monitor, or they had a bunch of other paperwork stuck on top of them, or they had coffee. That's where you put your coffee. So not much actually happened with them. They were created, they were a great idea, we've ticked the box, we've got a business plan, but they never actually got implemented. They never became a working tool for the business. They never actually helped you move forward. Because what happened was they became a static document, and then you might have revisited the next time when you needed finance, or the next time when you were reassessing where you're going to go for the next year, or setting some budgets. But they weren't a working tool. They were a static document which people, I guess, in a way, resentfully created, thinking that, well, I've got so many more better things to do with my time. So we're going to change that a little bit. We're going to change that perception quite a lot, I hope, through what we're going to do today. So the whole point of the plan, let's recap where we're at. What we're doing with the planning is, the first thing we want to do is determine what we want to achieve. We want to determine the outcomes that you want to achieve in your business. We also want to know where you're starting from. So where are you starting from? Because if we don't know where we're starting from, we don't know the first steps that we need to take to move to that target, that goal that you want to achieve. So we know the starting point, we're going to ascertain the starting point, we're going to know what you want to achieve, and then we're going to have a look at how we're going to get from where we are now, where you are here, to where you want to be. So where you're going to be at there when you get there. And so my priority here is to keep it simple. And the reason I want to keep it simple is a simple plan is more likely to be used. You are more likely to act on it. You are more likely to implement the actions you decide. You're more likely to achieve the results. And by keeping it simple, it also takes a lot less time to prepare. You can get up and running quicker and start achieving those improved results. So with the plan that we're trying to create here, we've got 3 goals here. It needs to be simple. It needs to be strategic, and it needs to be actionable. And we're going to go into those things in a bit more detail. The reason we need them to be simple, strategic, and actionable is we want to move ahead right now. We don't want to have something that's got a very long time frame before we start seeing the results. Because if that's the case, we're going to start getting disillusioned, and we're going to think, well, hang on, I've got better priorities to focus on. I'm going to lose, I guess, the desire to implement those actions, the desire to change. I'm going to go back into the way things were because it was much easier. So we want something simple, strategic, actionable to move us ahead from where we are right now to achieve our goals. So what we're going to do is go through a very simple process. Now, we're going to go through a process here, or a simple process, and it's going to be quite a fast overview, but don't despair. We're going to actually send you our I guess our simple one-page strategy, the format that we use to capture a simple plan, a simple business plan for businesses. And when you take some of the things that we're going to talk about here and just make a note or write down the steps that you're going to take on your action plan for your business, at the end of that process, you'll have a very clear picture of where you're going to go to, or where you're aiming to go to, and the steps that you need to take, or what actions you need to take, what resources you need, and importantly, the time frames that you're looking to achieve those goals in. Okay, so I can't see any questions at the moment, so we're just going to get started. We're going to jump in and get started with the business planning process. So very quick overview. So let's start at the beginning. We're going to start at the beginning. So where are we starting from? Now, where are we starting from? We've got a couple of 4 key factors that I focus on here when we're talking about the high-level, simple business plan. Okay, so 4 areas that we're focusing on. So and these 4 factors should be very easy for you to obtain or determine, and we're going to expand on that, but let's start with these 4 things. Now, the first 2 should come from your financial statements. Now, if you aren't able to access your financial information in real time and have confidence in it that the figures are actually telling you the right story, then that's another discussion. So we should have accurate accounting records up to date, because that will help not just with knowing where you are financially, but also knowing how well you're going in achieving your goals, how well the actions that you're going to put into place from your business plan are actually changing your financial figures. They are improving your financial figures. So you need to have those accurate records, timely, up to date, so they can tell you the story. So the first 2 things will come from your financial statements. And we're looking at 2 key indicators here. We're looking at revenue. So what is your revenue and what is your profit? So those two factors will come straight from your financial statements. Well, in fact, they'll come from your profit and loss statement. You don't even need full financial statements to come up with those 2 figures. The next 2 figures are more of an indication of how you're feeling about your business and what needs to change. So we're going to look at, and this doesn't have to be an exact science, but what is your level of stress on a scale of 0, where there's absolutely no stress, to 10, where you're at breaking point. So what is your level of stress on a scale of 0 to 10 right now? We're going to talk about how that's important and how we can manage some of those factors there. The last one is, how many hours of work per week are you working in the business? How many hours per week are you working in the business? So at the moment, if I might talk to you and you might be working 45, 50 or 60 hours, and that might be a lot more than what you want to work at. You might want to only be working 40 hours a week, but we're going to start with, what are you currently doing on average hours of work per week in the business? Okay, and then we're going to take those figures and we're going to have a look at where you want to be in 12 months' time, in 1 year. Where would you like to be in, say, 3 years' time? Or where would you like to be in 5 years' time? And we're going to set some goals around those 4 key figures. Okay, so those four key figures, there's two of them are financial, so they're going to tell us a lot about the financial health of your business. But the other 2 key figures are talking about your health, how happy you are, how well you are looking after yourself. Because if your stress levels continue to be high and you're working a lot more hours than you need to, then it's going to have a big impact, not just on your business, but on you personally, and we want to avoid that. So the next stage of it, well, once we've identified your starting point and where you want to be, we're going to actually work out how you're going to achieve it. Okay, what are going to be the steps that you need to take to get started from where you are now to where you want to be. Okay, so that steps will then come to, what are your goals going to be? So we're going to set those goals, and that's our 1 and 3 and 5 year goals for those 4 key figures. And once we've determined that, we're going to then come up with all those action plans, those specific actions. Okay, so as an example, so when you get the business plan template from us, okay, which we're going to be sending to you, or you can download it from our website. So we're going to be asking you to firstly look at where are you at now in terms of the revenue of the business? Where are you in terms of the net profit? What's your stress level like? And how many hours of work per week are you doing in your business? So they're the 4 key figures. So what are you doing now? Okay. So when you get the business plan template from us, put your current figures in there. And already you're probably thinking about where you would like to be in the future. So the next part of that will be to start documenting where your goals are for the next 12 months. So at the end of the next 12 months, and it doesn't have to be aligned with a calendar month or a financial year, calendar year or a financial year. You can actually just pick a 12-year period, a 12-month period, a rolling period, because really the end of a calendar year or the end of a financial year, they're arbitrary dates. Okay, let's look at what you're going to do for the next 12 months. Okay, so that's another reason why it doesn't matter when you start your business plan or when you create your business plan. Okay, so we're looking at 12 months from now. So what do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve in 3 years' time or 5 years' time? Okay, and as you can see, most people, when we go through this exercise, will start to be a bit more ambitious about where they would like to be. Okay, the goals will start to increase, the revenue will start to increase, the profit will start to increase. The other thing that will start to decrease, though, is the amount of stress that you're feeling. Okay, the amount of stress you're feeling about the day-to-day operations of the business, the financial health of your business. Also, we see this big push. We've heard of the 4-hour working week with Tim Ferriss. The need for a 4-day week or job sharing where we're not working full time. How many hours would you like to be working in your business per week? Now that's important as well, because what we're saying is the less hours you're working in your business but you're achieving more growth, is that you're actually creating a business that's not dependent on you. You're creating a business that can scale and grow. And that is, if you create a business that can scale and grow and isn't dependent on you, then you're going to be freeing yourself up from the constraints of business of having to be there all the time. You're going to reduce your stress from the business, and because you're going to leverage the other resources and scaling in your business, you're going to be able to capably generate more revenue and profit with less action from you, less input. So that's an example of a goal. So once we've got those figures, and as I said, on the business plan template that we're going to send you, put your figures in. Once we've got those figures, then we'll turn to focus on, well, what are the issues that are stopping you from achieving those goals? What are the issues that are stopping you in your business currently? What's preventing your business from moving forward? Or it might be, what could you do differently in your business, or what would you like to do differently to move your business forward? Now that could be a range of things. It could be a range of things. So if we go back and just use these figures, the sample figures that we've got here as an indication, to move your revenue from $100,000 to $250,000, something has to change. Something has to change. It might be that you need to increase your customers. Well, how are we going to increase our customers? It might mean that to increase our customers, we need to, and this goes back to the 4 principles of growing your business profitably, is we need to identify how we're going to get more customers of the right kind for our business, or the type of customer we want to deal with. So how are we going to reach out to them? That might be your strategy. Identify where those customers are and develop a marketing strategy to reach out to them. And that might be that you engage a marketing consultant, or you might hire somebody to do some sales activities to organize meetings where you can go and meet face to face with your prospects and sell to them the advantages of your services and increase your revenue that way. The second thing might be, how can you actually increase the value of each sale to a current customer? If your customer is buying from you, let's say you've got in your $100,000 of revenue, you might have 100 sales of $1,000. Well, what would happen if you increased those 100 sales to not just 1,000 each, but to 2,000 each? How could you do that? So you might have a strategy which says, right, we need to communicate with all of our current customers and demonstrate to them, we have these additional products, we have these additional services that they could benefit from, and the benefit to them will be X, Y, and Z. But to get X, Y, and Z, they're going to have to spend another $1,000 with you a year. Now, if the value of what they're getting is more than $1,000, there's quite a good case there for why they would spend more money with you. But unless you actually offer another product or offer another service, or actually, let them know, tell them that you have those other products and services, you may not actually grow. The other one there is, to grow your customers, you need to have them purchase from you more frequently. So if you've got a customer that purchases from you once per year and they spend $1,000 with you, it's very easy to get that customer to come back and spend another $1,000. So instead of transacting with you once per year, they're transacting twice. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? So if we increase all of those revenue things, and we can also be more efficient at creating that extra revenue, then our profit is going to increase as well. And often when our profit gets higher, our financial stress reduces. But as we grow our business, there's a tendency that we can actually be spending more time in the business doing more. So how do we grow our revenue without creating more work for ourselves? So there are a few things to think about there. It might be that we need to automate some process in our business. It might mean that we might have to engage somebody else to do the selling because that's not what you're good at. Or it might be you're spending a lot of time doing administration. And if you could hire somebody to do that administration, that would free you up to do more selling and also reduce your stress because you don't like administration. And that might be a solution for you. So what your plans are going to be to grow are going to be specific to you, to your business, and what you're planning to do, what your goals are. But by identifying your goals and what you need to achieve, then what we can do is then start to look at what are the specific actions we need to take and what are the resources we need. So if you need to grow your sales and it's not something you're good at, then you may need to either hire somebody to do the sales activities for you, or you might need to hire a marketer where you can automate that process or build some automation in there. Okay. Is it a case that you're not efficiently producing? Well, how do we change the way that we produce? It might mean that we're doing a lot of manual construction work on these pieces of equipment that we're creating. But if we invested, say, $20,000 in this new piece of machinery that could do the job in a quarter of the time or 1/10 of the time, then we're freeing up our time. We're able to produce more in a shorter space of time that we can then sell more. And so if not being able to produce is restricting your ability to sell, then how can we produce more? How can we improve our production processes so we are producing more?
So that might be a case of identifying, well, hang on, I could sell more if I can produce more, but it takes me an hour. If I buy a machine that can do the job in 5 minutes, then I can produce more, which means I can then sell more. I have more product to sell. So what we've identified there is that you need to actually purchase that machine. And then the next step is, well, do you have the cash to buy that machine outright? If you don't, well, you then need to look at, how do I finance that? And over what period should I do it? And then the next thing would be, find the equipment, find the price, finance it, and then, but also looking at our cash flow. So if we're going to be spending an extra $1,000 a month on the finance repayments, we need to make sure that our net profit from selling extra product is going to exceed that to make it worthwhile. Now, if you can produce more than 10 times the quantity of output by investing in that machine, then your revenue should go up and your profit should go up. So there's quite a strong business case for taking that action. So we need to identify what actions we need to take and the resources you need to achieve your goals. And so on our business plan template, we're going to list some of those key things that you need to do. We're not going to go into a lot of detail here. So it might be a case of, okay, buy new machine to enable us to produce more widgets, which will mean we can sell 10 times the amount of product. That might be what your high level strategies are here. We're not going into the detail, but it might be high level. Now, on the template, I would say don't put a lot, more than 10 on there. In fact, I would probably even say that for the short term, just focus on 3 to 4 key strategies, because if your attention is spread too wide, you're going to be not focusing on any key activity. You need to focus. So focusing on just a few key strategies, implement them and do them really well, and then move on to the next stage. If you do come up with other ideas, then that's fine. Park them in another spot. And we do have on our plan, we do have some space for you to sort of list those, what we call the someday maybes, or the nice to haves, which maybe they're going to be your next level or your next set of key high level strategies as you've already achieved the ones that you're working on right now. Yeah. So what we've done is we've got our financial goals. We've identified what we need to do. We've identified our strategies. Okay. But we need to be a bit more specific about it, because planning is just not enough. So we need to be specific about it. So it could be that we need to have purchase this new machine, and we need to have it in place by the end of March. Because when we have it in place by the end of March, we can produce more quality, more product, because we have a peak time of the year when our product is going to be bought, and that peak time is May. So we need to have an increased supply of product ready to capitalize on that peak period where our customers are going to buy our product. So looking at the timeframes that are important. Okay, if we put in, say, a new sales representative in our business, or maybe some new marketing, what's the time period where we're going to expect to start seeing results? Okay, how do we review when we expect to start seeing results, and what kind of results are we trying to achieve? What do we want to be seeing? And making sure that we put some specific timeframes on them. If we don't put a specific timeframe on them, then we tend to just put them back because we haven't given ourselves a deadline. Deadlines are great, and often a deadline of going on holidays or having somebody leave or somebody coming to visit is it's a catalyst for making sure that we get stuck in and get those jobs done. So maybe put some self-imposed deadlines on and some urgency around the timeframes that you want to achieve, but be specific and list the specific goals, actions, and timeframes on each of your high-level strategies. Okay, so the next step down is we're going to get a bit more specific. So we've got our high-level strategies, and we're going to drill down and be a bit more specific with those. So for each product or service, we're going to look at what's the key to success. What is the key to success? Okay. So if we've got a new sales strategy, what are the key success factors? Well, how many conversations are we going to be having with prospects? How many of those conversations do we need to convert to sales? Is there a way that we can maybe improve our conversion rate? So let's have a look at how many sales conversations are we targeting? How many of those sales conversations do we need to convert to customers? And then what's the level of product that they're buying? What's the level of revenue that we're generating from those sales conversations? Okay, so what are some of the key things there? It might be how long does it take us to produce that new piece, that product with that new piece of equipment? If we're saying it should only take us 5 minutes, but it's taking us 15, we're not going to be able to create the same volume of product. But we also need to look at, well, hang on, it should only take 5 minutes. Why is it still taking 15? Okay, so the time taken to produce could be a key indicator of how successful you have implemented your plan. Okay, so once we've identified the key actions, the strategic actions, we need to put in place some milestones which actually tell us when we've reached them, and we need to say, well, what point do we need to have achieved those milestones? So 90 days is often a good time period, because 90 days, 3 months, it's a good length of time to actually make sure that you have time to implement properly on the actions you've chosen. Okay, it's also a good time to see that you've had time for the results to start to develop, and you've got some good data, good information in your financial systems, in your financial reports, to tell you how your profitability, your revenue has improved as a result of those actions. Okay, so once we've identified the goals, we've determined what the key actions are going to be, we've determined the key resources and the timeframes, we need to put in place some milestones, some goals. And that might be, okay, if we're looking to increase our revenue over 12 months by $150,000, at which point do we need to have that first increase? So maybe after 3 months, we're looking to have an additional $30,000 of revenue, or it might only be 15, because we've still got to buy that equipment and get trained in how to use it before we can start producing. So let's say it's 15,000. So after that, it could be 90 days. We might say, well, hang on, what is the actual revenue that we've created? Or it might be, have we actually implemented that new piece of equipment, and are we producing at the rate that we expected? Okay, if we're expecting to produce a piece of product in 5 minutes and it's taking us 15, well, hang on, we're not meeting our goals. So we need to look at why. So for each action point, we've got to work out what we're going to do, when we're going to do it by, what resources we need. And then we also need to measure how effective we've been. How effective has our plan been? So creating those goals in the very first place are great, and determining what we're going to do is a key step. But we need to know, is what we're doing being effective? Is it actually delivering the results that we thought it would? And if it's not, why? Why is it not delivering? And if it is, well, what could we do better? What could we do better? So once we've achieved that, what's the next level that we can take this process to? We're now producing product it takes us 5 minutes. We've increased our sales by 200%. What would happen if we actually put in a second machine? Could we produce more product? Is there a demand, though, for that much product? Or maybe we're creating a product and there's another product that people who use this would buy as well. So as an example, everybody has a smartphone, but a lot of people now are buying the AirPods or the EarPods to go with it. So you sell the smartphone, you sell the AirPods. Okay, if you're selling both, you've got a good opportunity to sell a second product, increase your revenue. So what's a second product that could go with your core product? That's a good way of saying, how can we be more effective with what we're doing? Accountability is a key as well, because if you don't tell somebody, if you're not accountable for your actions, what tends to happen is you just don't do anything. You just don't do anything, or you keep putting it off because you've got something more urgent that draws your attention, that claims your attention. And it might be urgency because of something that somebody else needs to do, but because you haven't prioritized your big goals, your business plan goals, you just jump in and do the urgent stuff or that day-to-day work. Okay. When you're accountable, set aside time and make sure that people understand that you're going to be setting aside time to work on your business plan, work on the actions that you need to take to achieve your goals. And I did say also about putting into place some ideas of when you will have achieved your goal. So if we're saying we need $15,000 of extra revenue after 3 months, or 90,000, that's a good indicator to say we're actually on track. Yeah, because we can very easily manage how much extra revenue we've got from that new product. We can know, if it takes us 5 minutes and we thought, initially it might take us 15, we know we're doing something really good. We're actually doing more. We've achieved more than what we expected. Okay, so it's good to know when you've actually been successful. So this 90-day review process is a key in here. You need to check in regularly that your actions and results are aligned to what your plans are, what your goals are. Because if you're not, if they're not actually achieving what you're trying to, what you're targeting, then we need to adjust your strategy. We need to adjust your actions. And when we adjust those things, the results are then going to be more aligned with your goals. You're going to make sure that your results, your new results as a result of that change to your action plan, are going to achieve your goals. So we want to make it happen. And that's why we have gone back to having a simple plan. We've set some very clear goals around just 4 key areas. But to achieve those 4 key areas, the goals in those 4 key areas, we've set in place some actions that need to happen. And then we've also put some timeframes on those key steps. I need to buy this machine. I need it in place in 6 weeks' time. I need to be trained in 8 weeks' time. I need to be producing 500 units a day in 3 months' time. And then I need to sell those units in 4 months' time, because that's when my customers' peak demand is. Make it happen. Okay, make it happen, and then review the results and adjust. Okay, I just had a conversation recently with a colleague who'd set some really ambitious goals for a new product, which were great. And he'd set his goal for 100% growth. But he was disappointed because he only achieved 50% growth. Now, part of that process was there was no regular review, no regular check-in of how are we doing and what do we need to change. So we need to make sure that we review our results, check in regularly in those 90-day reviews. Are we on target? What do we need to change? So make it happen. Okay, so we've talked about your plan, and remember, we're going to be sending you the template, the simple template to help you create a very effective, actionable business plan that's going to help you grow your business and move it forward, and one that is not going to take you a long time to come up with some actionable steps. It's a quick process. So we want you to do that. Now, just I need to make you aware of this reasons for that your business plan might fail. And we've already seen this happening. We've had some declarations of what people are going to do in this new year, New Year's resolutions, end of financial year resolutions. But there is there's 5 key things that we see why business plans or goal setting is a failure. So just very quickly, I want to raise those with you so that you can avoid those 5 traps when you're implementing your plan. The first thing is you don't make a plan. You don't get started. Okay, so that's the first step. So we want you to get started with your plan. We want you to make your business plan and get on the right path to growing your business. And that's why instead of the 60-page detailed plan, we want you to come up with the 1-page actionable plan for your business. Keep it simple so that you do actually make the plan. We want you to set aside 1 to 2 hours to make your plan so that it's done. So you don't fail at step number 1. You do make your plan. The second area that people fail with their business plans is their goals are not specific. Often when I have a conversation with a business owner and I say, where do you want to go? What kind of profit do you want to make next year? And the answer is often, I just want to make more profit, a little bit more profit. So how much more is a little bit more profit? It's not a very specific goal, or I need to make more sales, or I want to spend less time. Okay, but how much less time? Because you might spend 10 minutes less in the business. You've achieved that goal, but it's not actually achieving the outcomes of reducing the amount of time overall really that you're spending in the business. And it's not reducing your stress, and it's probably not improving your revenue and your profit. So make your goals more specific, and the more specific they are, the more likely you're going to have a deliberate action that you can definitely implement and achieve your goals. And which leads into our third reason why business plans fail, and that is because people don't implement. We don't have actions identified, easy steps, timeframes, which show what we're going to do and by when to make sure that we implement our business plan, that we're on the path to achieving our goals of increasing profit, increasing revenue, reducing our stress, and reducing the time we're spending in our business. Accountability, I talked about this before. Accountability is key. If you, if you don't tell people about your goal, you're less likely to actually make it a priority for yourself. You're less likely to act on it. And we also talked about this problem of not measuring. So you're not measuring your outcomes, you're not measuring them against your targets. So you don't know whether you're actually being successful or not. So that's another reason business plans fail. So we'll revisit those very quickly. The first thing, you've probably heard this many, many times, failing to plan is like planning to fail. Okay, so we need to have a plan in place. If you're not moving forward, you're actually going backwards. And the reason is that your competitors are making changes. They are moving forward. So if you're not making steps forward, you're not making progress, but your competitors are, then you're actually going backwards, and they're going to start to take more of your market share. They're going to start taking your customers, and their business is going to grow and yours is going to be stagnant. Okay, by not making specific goals, okay, it's very hard to know where to focus and how much effort you need. Okay, so you need specific, we talked about this, specific, actionable, measurable tasks, and break them down into simple steps. We can break them down into more steps. Okay, so the idea of buying the new piece of equipment to enable us to produce more in a far shorter space of time, finding the piece of equipment, buying it, getting the finance, getting trained, and starting to produce. We've got 4 specific steps, time-based, and then we can also measure the outcomes or the benefits that we're getting from it. Failing to implement. So this is why we talked about having specific goals, but not having too many. Okay, because if we have too many, we tend to, not identify what we're going to work on first. We spread ourselves a little bit. We'll do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's like going to a smorgasbord. You don't know exactly what you want to do, but you just try a bit of everything. And at the end of the day, you end up going, oh, it wasn't really what I wanted. So let's focus on 3 things, just 3 things to focus on right now, because 3 things is very manageable. Okay, and they might be one very small thing, one bigger thing, and maybe it's just something that also fits in nicely with those first 2. A key here is momentum. We find that when you get some short-term actions, some short-term success, the quick wins, it actually makes you feel good, and you are more likely to keep going with your plan. You keep going with your actions because you've already got some results and you feel good. Okay, it feels good to achieve those goals. So have something in your first couple of actions that's going to deliver some short-term outcomes, some short-term success. Build that momentum. And the other thing is that when you actually achieve those outcomes, make sure you celebrate. celebrate that success and realize, yeah, I've actually achieved some growth here. I've achieved some of my goals. That's great. Let's have a little bit of a celebration and then move on to the next step. Okay. So getting help is important as well. So maybe you're new to this whole process of planning. Maybe you're new to the whole process of actually having a review of your financial statements and you may not actually understand. So it might be a case of you need to get some help, and that's okay. A lot of businesses need help. I'm always reaching out to help when I'm trying something new because I'm not an expert in other areas. You're probably an expert in your business. In fact, you should be an expert in your business, but you might not be an expert in this strategy and planning, or even just getting some clarity around what you want to achieve and what you need to be doing. And look, that's okay. There's no problem with getting help, but I recommend that you do that. And also, as part of that help process, is build some accountability in it. Build some accountability. When you're accountable to other people, we're more likely to act. We're more likely to make sure that we prioritize actions. And I like to say that, if you don't become accountable, your goals for your business become a bit like trees in a forest. If a tree in a forest falls and nobody sees it, did it really fall? If you create a goal and nobody knows about it, is it really a goal? Okay, because you're not going to act on it. You're just keeping it to yourself. Measurement of your outcomes, really important, because when you measure it, when you can tick off and you can see that little scorecard, it does feel good when you meet those goals and when you start getting some results on the board. So measure how effective it is. Also, if you're measuring how effective those steps are and they're not delivering on what you expect, that's a good chance to adjust your plan, adjust your actions so that you do start to achieve. But if you do this as part of your 90-day review, as part of your 90-day review, you can adjust your strategy very quickly, very timely, and move forward and make those corrections and get better outcomes. So don't overload here. Just choose a couple of key things that you're going to monitor. So it might be, with our machinery example, how long does it actually take to produce that product with the new machinery? Okay. With our salespeople, how many sales conversations are they actually having per month? How many conversations are actually converting to customers per month? Is that a good outcome for our efforts? Okay, how can we improve that conversion? If the conversion rate of a conversation to an actual sale is lower than we expected, well, it might mean we need to spend some time on training, or it might mean we're not speaking to the customer in the terms that they need. That they're not hearing the benefits of the product. They're not hearing a reason for why they should actually go with you as opposed to your competitor. So just work out what the key measurements are that show that you're actually achieving your goals. So keep focused. That's why we only deal with 3 actions at a time. Monitor your progress and actually ask the question, is my strategy effective? Is my strategy effective? Is it delivering the results that I want? And will it continue to deliver those outcomes that you desire, which will lead to greater profitability, less stress, less time in the business? Will it continue to deliver? Because look, if you're off focus by a small amount, it could mean at the end of the day, at the end of that period when you're reassessing, you might end up in a completely different place. And some people say that there's actually a very thin line between success and failure. So if we are able to make small adjustments quickly because we're monitoring the outcomes of our actions, then we're more likely to be on the other side. We're more likely to be on the success side of the ledger, not on the fail side of the ledger. Okay, so going through, not making a plan. Look, don't use the fact that it's past the beginning of the year, that it's not the right time. There's no wrong time to create a business plan. You create a plan at any time. We're looking at the future, okay? We're not bound by the calendar. We can create a plan at any time, okay? So I want you to make a plan. We're going to make it easier for you. We're going to share our templates so that you can create that simple business plan strategy. We want you to make a plan and end up in the place that, end up in a strong place for your business, a strong place for you, because your business is really important to your personal position, your personal well-being. So we want you to end up in that right space. So if you don't know where you're heading though, if you don't know where you want to go, and that's why we actually get you to put some specific goals at the beginning of this process. If you don't know where you want to head, then you're probably going to end up somewhere else. Okay. And we're seeing that a lot at the moment with businesses who have not made plans, and they're just having to react to what's going on around them. But if you have some specific idea of where you want to be, you can control the actions you take, and you're going to end up in the place that you want, not just end up being buffeted by the waves of the economy or supply chains or what's going on in the rest of the world. But you can take some specific actions and control where you're up to, okay, where you're going to end up. Okay, so how are you going to go about it? Okay, how are you going to go about preparing a plan? So my first encouragement is to spend an hour and just take the template and work through it and come up with that simple process. So use our simple business plan template and create the plan for yourself. But the next thing might be that you might need some help with that, or you might not feel confident with it, or that you're actually creating a plan that works, or you might need some help in actually putting together the actions. And that's where it's important to work with an advisor like myself, like Premium Solutions. We can help you actually get some clarity about what you should be doing, what your actions are, and what actions would actually help you achieve the goals that you are based on your business. So we can help you with that process. So engage us or engage a business advisor to help you with your planning process. Or look, what we think is the best option though is working together with your business advisor. There's a proven path. Your advisor will have often a proven pathway, strategic process to help you go from that initial planning stage, not just the planning stage, but something that you can act upon, helping you determine the right actions, helping you monitor, making you accountable, and really working you through, not just going through the motions, but actually challenging you to take your business to the next level. So if you'd like to engage with us, we'll provide an opportunity for you to reach out. We'll be in contact with you, or you can put the comments of how you would like us to help you. But we are going to be sharing our business planning template with you, and love it if all you did was go through the business planning template and write down your goals and actions and what you're going to do. I think you're going to be in a far, far better place for your business, and you're going to be a lot more successful and a lot less stressed as a result. So if nothing else, take the business plan template and just create that simple, actionable, goal-orientated plan for your business. And look, we want you to grow a great business, and we really think that if you take these steps, you will. So thank you for your time today, and please make note of where you can find us. We often produce information like this for you. Subscribe to our newsletter, our information, our YouTube, our social media to find out when we're doing our next presentation. And if you want a specific topic, then we'd love to hear what you want to hear about. So reach out to us, and we'd love to hear your suggestions, and we can deliver the content that you are looking for. So thank you for joining us, and have a great day. Have a great business.